Hi everyone, this is Yvonne from Corelight, and today we'll do a brief overview of two new log types available in Corelight: network performance and asset visibility. To ensure that your organization's digital infrastructure runs smoothly, you have to both protect it and guarantee network uptime and speed. Traditionally, this is split into two groups: SecOps for defense and risk mitigation, and NetOps for network monitoring and optimization. Oftentimes, SecOps and NetOps use separate tools, separate data, and separate workflows. It's not uncommon for a SOC analyst to receive an alert with an IP address in one system and then have to go search for information about that IP address in a different system. In a similar vein, when a NetOps analyst receives a complaint about a slow service, it can be hard to identify whether the source is a security issue or an infrastructure issue. Exacerbating the problem is the fact that NetOps and SecOps teams often share the same budget and compete for resources. Dedicated network performance tools often require separate infrastructures, active polling, and additional licensing. This can bog down networks, increase minimum requirements, and add costs. So how does Corelight fit into this picture? Corelight sensors already observe network traffic and produce logs for security. With our newest update, our sensors now add two new logs generated from that same passive traffic observation. No new hardware is required, no agents are required, and the initial configuration is a snap. The two new log types we want to announce are network performance, or NetPerf, and asset classification. NetPerf logs are threshold-based, domain-aware performance alerts that fire only when services degrade. These logs correlate to actual service names instead of just IP addresses, allowing you to identify when it's only a service that's struggling instead of a whole machine. These logs are anomaly first, meaning that they only fire when predefined thresholds are crossed. In other words, a well-performing network will not generate unnecessary logs. Asset classification logs passively identify and classify every device on your network by analyzing protocol fingerprints. These logs look at information such as HTTP headers, DHCP requests, or SSH sessions, and then combine that information to identify key metadata about each host. These logs can shed light on the host's operating system, its manufacturer, and even its purpose in the network. So why are these two log types important? For network engineers, these logs help drive the mean time to innocence down to 0. NetPerf logs allow you to immediately identify the cause of slowdowns or instabilities. Being able to distinguish whether it's the server's IP or the client's IP that has a slow RTT allows you to tell which side has the problem. Being able to distinguish when a TLS server's IP has a slow handshake or whether it's an SNI hostname that has the slow handshake allows you to quickly judge whether the server is having an issue or whether it's just one service on that server. For SOC analysts, every alert you have to investigate now includes device identity and performance context. You can quickly spot whether a performance anomaly is data exfiltration, C2, or simply benign. Performance alerts come with the first UID that triggers it, allowing you to quickly pivot from the alert to the exact source connection log. And for organizational leadership, these new features allow you to consolidate tools. You have one sensor and one truth for both your NetOps and SecOps teams. There is no additional infrastructure required, and you can stretch your Corelight investment to serve both your teams without additional vendor overhead. So now that we've seen a brief overview, let's look at how to enable asset classification and NetPerf logging in Corelight Fleet Manager. You can see here that I have a very simple network setup with one sensor. I'll jump to the policy section up here, and I can see that the sensor currently is using the example policy. We'll click in on that, and from here I can jump to the Packages tab. If you scroll down, you'll be able to see that network performance monitoring is one of the options available right here. I'm going to click to enable this, and then I can click over here on the settings where I can modify the specific configuration of the network performance monitoring package. Now there are a bunch of features here, and I'm not going to look at each one in depth, but I'll start at the very top where you can see the aggregation window duration. And this field defines the length of time that your sensor will observe in order to look for activity that crosses the performance thresholds that you set below. So for example, we could look at this first field called the bytes threshold, and it's currently set to 10 million bytes or 10 megabytes. So when a host's byte volume exceeds the 10 megabytes we have set here, The sensor will open a 15-minute or 900-second aggregation window. And during this window, the NetPerf package will track and aggregate statistics for this specific entity across all Zeek workers in the cluster. In this case, you'll get additional logs such as the total bytes sent and the total bytes received during this time window. Below, you can find a whitelist where you can add specific subnets to be excluded from this performance monitoring. For example, you might not want an employee's laptop to be monitored here, but it would definitely be helpful to have an authentication server monitored to ensure that it doesn't become part of a data exfiltration pipeline. The NetPerf package also allows you to identify specific domains or DNS servers that are resolving slowly. Up above, you can add specific domains to this whitelist, and below you can add entire subnets to the whitelist that will prevent triggers from firing unnecessarily. Beneath that, we have the ability to enrich logs, which will add per connection measurement fields to your existing Zeek logs. Below is where we set some of our thresholds for our HTTP performance. For example, if an HTTP transaction from beginning to end takes more than 5 seconds, you'll receive an alert. You could also whitelist any subnets from that alert. You could set an upper limit for the establishment of a quick protocol. In this case, it should never take more than 1 second. You can whitelist subnets for that. You can do the same thing with RTT thresholds and SSL establishment thresholds. So the default values for these fields are applicable for general use networks, but if working inside of an air-gapped network, for example, you may want to lower this threshold to a value that makes more sense for your network. Again, all of these are configurable, and you can set them to the value that meets your network's requirements. Once you've made the adequate changes, you can click down here on the Done button, and then you go up to the top and hit Save Policy. You can see here that this will enable network performance monitoring, and we'll hit Apply. And then that's it. Next, let's look at how to enable the asset classification logs. For this example, I'll click on the Enrichments tab, and then I'll go over here to the Asset Classification Enrichment. Again, this is a simple toggle. You just click it here, and then you have two options that you can select below. Cache size is how many devices you'll be able to fingerprint within your environment. In this case, the default is set to 100,000. And the timeout tells your sensor how long to continue gathering information about each device before creating a fingerprint containing all the metadata of that device. In this example, we'll just leave the defaults as they are, and then we'll click up again on the Save Policy button. You can see that we're enabling asset classification, and I'll click Apply. So now that we've enabled these two features, let's see what they look like in action. And we'll begin by looking at the asset classification logs that we just enabled. For this demo, we'll be looking at Corelight logs using LogScale as our SIM. You'll see here that I have asset classification as our source log type, and we can see all of the different asset classification logs that have been gathered. If we wanted to dive down into an example log, I'll search for this specific IP, and then we'll come down here to click on the log. I'll click up here on the JSON tab so that we can read the log fields a little bit more easily. You can see that we're in the asset classification log. This is the sensor that sent the log, and then we have our timestamps, including when the classification was finished. Note that this was 15 minutes or 900 seconds after the classification began. And below that, you can see the IP address of the device that we are profiling. We have an 81% confidence level that this is a Motorola mobile phone. We know that because the NICS vendor is Motorola. We can tell that directly from the MAC address prefix. This is in the mobile phone type group, and it's specifically a mobile phone. We can see again that the brand is Motorola and that the operating system it is using is Android. And then the coolest part about all this is you get to see the sources from which this classification was created. In this case, we used both DHCP information and plaintext HTTP headers. Corelight can also gather information from JA3 or hash information from SSH key exchanges. Again, this device has no EDR on it, and none of this was done through active polling. All this information was gathered passively from the network logs. Let's jump up here and check another IP. And if we click on this log, you can see with 83% confidence that this is an HP computer. It says that the brand is HP down here, and it has an Intel brand NIC. It's currently using Windows. And again, we used DHCP and HTTP to gather this information. So let's suppose real quick that you are a SOC analyst and you receive an alert containing a specific local IP address. instead of having to go to a different system and look up your asset inventory and the assigned IP addresses, you can simply stay up here in your SIM, enter in the IP address, and then hit enter. Now, if the alert we received was for an unusually large file upload, we can scroll down here and see that the device that did the upload was a Samsung TV running Tizen 7.0. With this information, we can immediately escalate the alert, quarantine the device, and begin doing a deep dive. The main purposes here are to lower the mean time to response and provide SOC analysts with all the information needed to make informed decisions. Enabling asset classification in Corelight helps reduce the number of sources you need to consult and puts all the necessary information immediately at your fingertips. Another use case for the asset classification logs is to profile every device that is using Windows 10, for example. And immediately you'll be presented with a list of every single Windows 10 device in your network. Once again, this includes every device that has connected to and communicated over your network, not just devices that have EDR or that are in your CM database. So now let's jump over to our netperf logs and take a deeper dive into what those look like. You can see here that I've searched for the netperf log type, and down here you can see all of the individual netperf logs that were returned. Just going to scroll down and pick one of these at random, and we can look through each value here again as we did before. You can see here that this is the netperf log coming from this sensor. The right timestamp is the one we have here, and the window will show us how long this performance log was open. Remember that we had set the window to be 900 seconds, so this was open for 900 seconds. The alert that was triggered is DD. Now we're not going to go through all of the different triggers, but DD stands for a DNS query that contains a specific domain, and this domain is responding slowly. In our case, the domain that was queried was domain.81548.com. Now these are all anonymized domains, so this is just a demo log. But you can see that over 900 seconds or 15 minutes, there were 114 DNS queries for this domain. And all 114 of them crossed the threshold value that we had set with the maximum response time of 7.25 seconds. In other words, we had 114 queries to this domain, and in every one of those queries, the response time exceeded our threshold. Now this log relates to a specific domain, in our case, this one here. The great thing about using Corelight logs to assess your network performance is that we can investigate whether it's the domain that's causing the slowdown or the actual IP that's doing it. Suppose that we're resolving all of our DNS queries through Google's DNS 8.8.8.8. I could do a quick query for host is equal to 8.8.8.8, and we can see that Google's DNS resolver never actually triggered any of our performance logs. So let's see real quick if our local DNS resolvers are triggering any performance logs. What I can do is search for the trigger equals DS, and this is when a DNS server is experiencing a slowdown, not just a specific domain. And I can search for the IP address of one of our local DNS resolvers. Immediately, you can see that we have 18 instances where our local DNS resolver was experiencing a slowdown. So let's open up this top log right here. You can see that over the course of 15 minutes, we had 5,727 queries to this DNS server, and 4,998 of them crossed the threshold. And we even have one query that came back over a minute later. This is clear evidence that something was wrong with the DNS server and not just a specific domain. So let's quick check our other DNS resolver. This is .253, and you can see that we have no logs showing that 253 experienced a slowdown. And once again, when your network is perfectly healthy, you won't see any alerts coming in. Your SIM won't be flooded with healthy telemetry. The network performance logs allow us to spot instances where the bandwidth exceeds our thresholds, where specific domains or servers cause issues in DNS, where specific host headers or IP addresses cause HTTP slowdowns, where specific quick host names or servers cause slowdowns, where a server or a client has slow RTTs, or where TLS servers or specific SNI host names generate slow handshakes. Again, a great feature of using Corelight logs to help monitor your network performance is that it allows you to know whether the slowdown is occurring at the server level or with a specific service on that server. Additionally, with quick and RTT information, you can know whether the problem is on your side or if the application is at fault. So let's quickly see what this looks like in a dashboard. I'm going to click on our netperf dashboard. and you can immediately identify locations where there may be issues. You can see the total volume of bytes being sent back and forth, and that may help you identify causes of slowdowns. You can see which hosts are generating the highest volumes of data, and you can see what % of all your connections are slower than the thresholds you have set. Scrolling down, you can quickly identify which subnets are working well, and you can get a clear picture of DNS response times over time. Note right away the DNS resolver that we had searched for earlier. You can see additional data about HTTP transactions, different response times, bytes received, and your TLS handshake times. These dashboards can be customized to highlight the information that is most important to you. And for the last example of a dashboard using these logs, let's look at Investigator's Asset Classification dashboard. Here you can immediately see the number of devices on your network and which operating systems each device is using. You can see the Tizen TVs we have, in addition to our distribution of Android versus Linux versus Windows versus iOS, etc. This can be super helpful for identifying rogue devices on your network. If you are not expecting one Audio OS device in your network, you should probably reach out to a network admin or SOC analyst. You can see distributions by brand and device type, and you can see which operating systems are using which applications. You can also quickly identify what percentages of your bandwidth are being used by what types of devices. In our case, mobile devices are using a majority of the network's bandwidth. Scrolling down, you can see each model of device being used on your network, as well as other details. As with all other dashboards, these are fully customizable, and your security and network teams can use them to quickly identify threats, anomalies, or inconsistencies. So to summarize, Corelight is adding 2 new features as part of their sensor bundle. The first one is Network Performance, or NetPerf, and it helps network engineers answer the questions of, is it the network that's slow, or is it something else? You receive domain-aware alerts and a direct forensic pivot via the UID to the evidence needed to draw an accurate conclusion. The asset classification logs turn abstract IPs into recognized devices. It does so passively, continuously, and even on devices that your EDR cannot cover. You have one sensor and one source of truth for both SecOps and NetOps. There's no new hardware required, and there are no new agents. All this is included in your sensor bundle or investigator bundle today. If you have any questions about this, please reach out to the Corelight team. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we wish you happy hunting.